What's going on, everybody? Muddler, Sofa, Sith Lord, Wayfez, good to see you guys. If you guys are not Fleet members and you're watching right now, thanks for tuning in. What's up, Justin Woods? Good to see you, man. Darth Sean, good to see everybody. Welcome, guys. Yeah, so if this is your first time for a supporter Q&A and you're not a member of the Fleet, sit back, enjoy yourselves. These are always all over the place and fun. Random topics of discussion. And they're usually pretty low-key and just kind of like a small intimate hangout. The Muddler, Sofa Sith Lord, Wayfez, Justin Woods, Darth Sean, and Sapity. Welcome to the chat. It's good to see you guys. Justin Woods says, "Hey Greedo, just saw your video where you said you were building a home. What builder is doing your house? I work on homes, so I'm just curious." Oh, I can't give that information out. You might be able to pinpoint me, Mr. Justin. No, I'll let you know. Sometime. But it's one of the major North Florida builders for sure. I used to work for a builder as well. I used to do web design and stuff like that for a builder. But I'm excited, man. It's a 2.5-story, 2,050 square feet, something like that. Comparing, it's literally 1,000 square. It's literally twice as big as our old house that we just sold. Our old house that we just sold was in a just kind of, one of those. Let me turn back on the music. I need to turn it down, but turn it back on. Our old house that we sold is kind of, every city has one of these neighborhoods that's older. The houses were built in the 40s. It's like an eclectic neighborhood, a lot of like an art scene and a bunch of, coffee shops and breweries and stuff like that. So it's a very sought after number. No, it's not them. It's not them. But it's the neighborhood that we're leaving is kind of a very sought after neighborhood. It's just, there's a lot to do, and it's a really fun time living down there. So it's just crazy how much further your money can go in the suburbs compared to where we just left. It's just crazy. It's crazy what people are paying for houses in the area we just left. Perfect time to sell, anyway. And Sofa Sith Lord, does Greedo have a Spotify playlist with the music he uses in his streams videos? I feel like it would make a great background music while I work. No, I don't. That's not a bad idea. Sofa, I'm going to post a link to, this is literally, probably can't play it on this stream because I'd probably get copyright struck. This video right here, it's like a, I'll let the advertisement play so I can see how long it is. This is a 3-hour playlist right here, and it's the same like 7-8 minute song looped, but it never feels like it's looped. Here, that's what I just posted a link to it. This is what I listen to, literally, all for the past 4 months. This is exclusively what I've listened to when I write videos, and I actually found who made this. And I bought their album on Google, is it called Google Play? The Play Store? The Play Store. And it is just such a relaxing stuff. I hope you like it. For me, it's the perfect kind of headspace music to write with, and I love it. I love just having it on even. Like on my speakers, I turn it down really low, and I just have my LED lights so it always sounds like a little spacey in here. I dig it, But yeah. All right, guys. So the supporter Q&As, there's always Fleet members in the chat. And I always enjoy chit-chatting with them. But we also have questions from Patreon. Another way to support the channel is through Patreon, through patronage, on a website that I wish I could merge over with this system, because it would be nice to be able to let those folks in this chat as well. But I take their questions, talk about those questions, answer those questions, and then we talk about the other questions. So I'm going to begin with the patron questions, and I will always communicate with the chat as well. So let's get started with this bad boy. Grand Shock Trooper is the first patron up on the list. Grand Shock Trooper asks, would you agree that George Lucas is more of a person who has good concepts for stories, but can't execute them that great by himself? That is certainly an argument, right? I've never seen these questions, by the way, if anybody's curious. Like, I literally take a screenshot, post it, and I like to just answer on the fly. But Grand Shock Trooper, that is certainly a case and definitely an opinion held by many people. For me, you know, Star Wars, the original trilogy, was such a collaborative experience for everybody involved. You think of like the visual style of Star Wars, right? You think of what Star Wars looks like, which is so much of when you think of Star Wars, you're picturing something in your head, right? Maybe it's that used and abused universe. Maybe it's as simple as a mouse droid, or the way clothing hangs off of somebody from Tatooine. But most of the visual style of Star Wars, as we know, came from Ralph McQuarrie. So, you know, yes, George Lucas. As I've heard people say this, he's a great ideas man, and the execution, when one person kind of has full control, not saying that he did in the prequels, but he definitely had more control, and it was more of his baby than the original trilogy, even because he didn't direct Empire, he didn't direct Jedi, right? So that was oh my God, Irvin Kershner and Richard Marquand? Is that how you pronounce it? I can't remember. But I don't know. I would agree with that to a certain extent, for sure. Because so much of Star Wars, Grand Shock, so much of Star Wars, and the tiny details and whatnot can be attributed to other people than Lucas. Ralph McQuarrie, for example, the first example that I give, Ben Burt, created all of the audio sounds that you hear. Lightsabers, mouse droids, Chewbacca, everything that you hear, all the unique little sounds that make this universe come to life, you can thank Ben Burt for. So yes, George Lucas, great ideas man. And what was great about the original trilogy is that so many brilliant people were involved that built the universe. I think some people have, and maybe this is just how I see some folks in this fandom, but it's like it's almost like some people think that George Lucas throughout the entire history of Star Wars has just been like sitting in a giant throne dictating every single thing that happens, and that couldn't be further from the truth. He wasn't even doing that in the original trilogy, you know. It's not like he's sitting there at a whiteboard and people are coming to him like jesters trying to entertain him and give him great ideas. Not really. It's not like he's coming up with every single small detail. It's very interesting how people think that he was like the dictatorial director and everything was his. Nope. Major collaboration for sure. But Grand Shock, it is an interesting... It is an interesting topic of discussion, and it might be an interesting video for me to make, for sure. But I appreciate that question, man, and as always, thank you so much for that support. Let me take a quick sip of Landshark Lager. Darth Sean, thank you for the super chat and channel support. I greatly appreciate that, man. Sean asks, what do you recommend the first thing I do in Galaxy's Edge? Ooh, that's a good question. If you want to see the cantina, Sean, if you want to see the cantina, I would recommend going to the cantina as soon as you're let into Galaxy's Edge. Rush there and put your name on a list, because you have to, like I said, you have to put your name on a list, and that list fills up quickly. We had no idea that you needed to have a reservation at the cantina. We just thought you'd walk in, but it got so crowded, and they basically take reservations now. So if you want to see it, that's where I would rush first and put your name down. And I don't know exactly how long you would stay there. You'd probably get a couple of unique drinks or some food or something like that. I think they serve food. I'm not too sure, but that's exactly what I would do. Rush there, put your name down. You could even put your name down for a time later in the day. You know what I mean? You get there early, and let's say you put your name down for 1 p.m. for a late lunch. and then you rush over to the Millennium Falcon ride and wait in line for that. So that's what I would recommend for sure. But I think you're gonna have a blast, man. It's a fun time. I think you probably watched my video on Galaxy's Edge. You probably know my opinion of the Falcon ride and all that kind of stuff. But the park itself is definitely a magical kind of definitely a magical experience for sure. And I think you're gonna have a blast. But I appreciate that support tonight, Sean, and let me know what you think. You're going. You'd put a countdown today, right? Like 20 days from now or something like that. I think. Oh yeah, and drink blue milk for sure. 6 foot. The blue milk is good. The green milk was okay, but I like the blue milk way better. But and Manikoff, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support as well tonight, man. Manikoff says, what is your favorite lightsaber of all time? My favorite lightsaber is Luke Skywalker's Return of the Jedi green. I've always loved it. I just love the look, the bright green of it. I love the sound of it. It's like a wow. I don't know how to describe it. I can hear it in my head. Obviously, I can't pronounce. I'm not the guy from Police Academy. It's that's always been my favorite, man. It's always been my favorite. I think sorry guys. I think another reason that it's my favorite is because my favorite lightsaber fight of all time is at the end of Return of the Jedi. And I just have, I picture Luke in the shadows as Vader, his father, is toying with him. If you will not be turned, perhaps she will. And then Luke pops up, never! And he ignites his lightsaber, and he's just wailing on his father. He's pissed off. And I think the association between my favorite lightsaber fight of all time and the lightsaber that is in my favorite lightsaber fight of all time probably, makes it even more so of my favorite fight. But yeah, man, I appreciate that support tonight. The Vader Luke fight is my all-time favorite. The score just puts it over the top. Yeah, man, I like it. Luke loses it. He sees red. He starts wailing on his father. Just no elegance, no form, just bashing. I love it. I love it. The next question from Patreon comes from Biscuit Fingers. Let me see. All right, there we go. One sec. Biscuit Fingers. Zach Carnes. Zach, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support tonight. I don't know why I have so much goddamn phlegm all of a sudden. Maybe it's the land shark, the beer. But Zach, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support tonight, man. I greatly appreciate that. How would you spend your 4th of July in the fleet? I was never deployed while I was out to sea. I'm sure it would have been just like any other day. I was out to sea during the holidays, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. So I'm assuming it would be very similar to that. But when I was just on shore duty and not deployed, we would get a lot of time off. I believe, government jobs, you get a lot of time off. Military jobs, when you're not deployed, you do get a lot of time off. We used to have the day of the Super Bowl and the day after the Super Bowl, or the day after, rather. Sorry, guys. Golly. We used to have the day after the Super Bowl off because our CEOs were always really cool. But normally, we just, they would give maybe a half a week or a week off even, and sometimes people would tack on leave before or after that to kind of extend their leave. But it was never anything like... they probably had some activities and stuff like that on the base, and you could probably come on with the kids and stuff like that. I never participated in anything like that. Yeah, it was just like time off. That's really all that it was. Nothing eventful. But I'm sure if I was out to sea on the 4th, it probably would have just been like any other day. I was, like I said, I was out to sea when for Halloween, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for New Year's, all the way until April, from October to April. And all those holidays were just, we were out to sea, and maybe somebody had a Santa hat on, and we were still turning wrenches. You know, it didn't really change anything. Maybe the CSs in the galley would put some Christmas lights up in the, in the galley. But other than that, it wasn't that they would serve better food, I guess. And there was some pumpkin pie, I remember. But other than that, you're still turning wrenches and you're still standing watch. But yeah, but I appreciate that tonight, Zach. And hope you have a good 4th, man. All right. Golly, I wonder, why do I have all this phlegm? Oh, Manikoff, once again, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support. And hey, John H. Yeah, I made it to one of these live. Nice. Glad you're, we got a bunch of fleet members in here tonight. Usually I stream, and it seems to be an odd time for some folks, you know. But I'm glad we've got so many people in here. And as always, I appreciate the support, and I appreciate you tuning in. And Manikoff, thank you once again for the super chat and channel support. Says, absolutely agree. Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie, and that lightsaber fight is my favorite movie scene of all time. Nice. / favorite movie of all time. Nice. Yeah. Oh, it's your all-time favorite movie. Interesting. Yeah, Return of the Jedi for me is a lot like the Last Jedi in a way. Some of my favorite scenes in The Last Jedi, or some of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars are in The Last Jedi. Some of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars are in Return of the Jedi. And some of my least favorite scenes in all of Star Wars are in The Last Jedi. And some of my least favorite scenes in all of Star Wars are in Return of the Jedi. So it's kind of interesting, that dichotomy there, but yeah, I love it's definitely not my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. Definitely not my favorite movie of all time. But it definitely has my all-time favorite lightsaber fight. Everything comes to a head. There's just so much tension. There's just anger, and just redemption, and just there's so much going on. And the thing is, it's my favorite lightsaber fight of all time. It's very long, and when you calculate the time when all 3 of them are together, Vader, Emperor, and Luke, the amount of time that lightsabers are actually ignited is really small. It's subtle. It's not flips and swinging for the fences and throwing shit and just like insane, you know what I mean, craziness. It's subtle. It's emotional. The lightsaber is almost like a backdrop to what's going on in the scene. I love it. But I appreciate that tonight, Manikoff. The next Patreon question comes from Biscuit Fingers. Hey Greedo, been a supporter for a long time, but could never think of a good question for a Q&A. What was the most unexpected part of becoming a father? Like the thing that caught you the most off guard. Anyway, thanks for the great content. Keep it up. I can't read tonight. Keep it up. P.S. Please make more videos reading old Star Wars reviews. I love them. I love them too, man. I love doing the research. I love flipping through those old magazines. It's I get such a kick out of it. It's interesting how people view those videos as me. I don't know. It's literally me. I like doing research and I like old stuff. But so the most unexpected part of becoming a father. That's really tough, man. I didn't think this amount of like. I didn't think this level of love was possible. I didn't think it's on another level. Yeah, I love my family. I love my parents, my sisters, my wife, more than anything in the world. But my daughter is beyond everything. I just did not know that amount of love was possible. That's probably the most unexpected thing for me. Just you know, obviously I was like, of course I'll love her, but it's not, it doesn't even make sense. Oh, I love my dog. Fuck off. You don't love your dog. It's just insane, man. It's just insane. It's just insane. Other than that, I guess I didn't expect to not have... you know, I always talk about time on this channel and the lack of it. I didn't think I would have this little amount of time to work on stuff. And that's not a negative. It's just, it was kind of surprising. Like... And in the early days when she was first born, you know, it was pretty easy. She was too little, and she would sit in her like boppy and just kind of sit there and sleep most of the day. Now, if I ever tried to make a video or anything like that while she was awake, she'd be crawling all over me, and because we play all day, she's used to playing all day, and you know what I mean. So good luck making stuff. Maybe when she's a little older, she can entertain herself a little more. But yeah. But yeah. Anyway, Biscuit Fingers, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the support for so long. And I'm glad you like those Star Wars review videos, because where I read and research old Star Wars review videos, because those are some of my favorite things to make. Videos like that, history of Star Wars. And, you know, I recognize that they're not going to get a ton of views. Like, they're probably going to be middle of the road when it comes to views. But that has never dictated what I make. The prediction of views, or the relevance of topics. I want to make things that I want to make. And old Star Wars reviews interest me, and I'm gonna keep fucking making them. But I appreciate that, Biscuit Fingers. What's up, Andy? You're an esoteric weirdo. 6 foot. If a stranger and a dog are drowning, which do you save? If you can only save one. Probably the stranger? Probably the human being? What if they turn out to be a real asshole, though? It's like a 50-50 chance that they turn out to be a real asshole. Nah, that's not true. It's not 50... No. The whole of humanity is not 50-50 assholes and good people. I don't believe that. The next Patreon question comes from Christopher Garcia. Christopher says, I know you're not all caught up in the Clone Wars, but I'm curious as to who your favorite character is so far, and whether or not you'd want to see them in a live action at any point, similar to Saul Guerrero. Thanks for all the great content. Well, I appreciate that, man. Well, my favorite character in the Clone Wars is Ahsoka. You know, obviously I like Anakin and Obi-Wan. I even like the villains, and I found myself really enjoying the Clone Wars era, and we see more of the motivations of all the characters and the villains in the prequels themselves, and I'm a broken record at this point talking about it, but in the prequels themselves, motivations from villains were really lacking. But yeah. Anyway, Ahsoka is my favorite Clone Wars character. And the reason behind that is because I've really enjoyed seeing her evolution. I've also enjoyed seeing Anakin's evolution. Well, devolution? He's devolving? What? How would you pronounce that? Devolution? He's devolving? I don't know. Is that even a word? But I've really enjoyed seeing Ahsoka start as a young, scrappy kid, kind of maybe immature and a little unsure of herself, and just a kid, you know, just a kid. And now in the later seasons, devolution. Yeah, isn't devolution? Devolve is a word. I would assume that devolve is a word. Evolve and devolve. Is devolution a word? Ooh, I'm interested. I'm gonna have to look that up. But yeah, Christopher, I've really enjoyed watching her become kind of a steadfast leader. somebody who observes and listens and formulates plans, teaches. She's quick on her feet. She's a strategist, and throughout the show, it's been a lot of fun to watch her character kind of become I don't know, kind of a great tactician. And yeah, I kind of know what happens just because I'm a Star Wars fan, and you hear things over the years and just, out of the periphery. I also read, or I'm halfway through the Ahsoka book, which people were like, why are you reading it? You haven't even finished the Clone Wars. Well, I kind of already know what happens, so I needed something to read, and it was free on my Kindle. It was one of the free books that were being offered up for Prime members, so I was like, yeah, I'll read it. Why not? Why not? But, and would I ever want to see them, or her in a live-action movie, or a show, or anything like that? It doesn't appeal to me that much. I don't really need, like, characters being repeated over and over again. I know she's in Rebels. I know... Yeah, but for me, like, I'm completely fine separating, like, animated shows and live action stuff. If she was ever in a live action, of course I would love it. I think it would be great. And there would constantly be arguments online as to who should play her, and no matter who they would select to play Ahsoka, all the internet would bitch and moan for sure. But I don't necessarily think that I would want to or not want. Either way, it's not something that I want. It's not something that I would be against, Now, for me, my first introduction to Saul was not the Clone Wars. Obviously I saw him in Rogue One. Vaguely knew his name from just being a Star Wars fan. And the last episode that I watched, that I just uploaded a video of today, was the first time that I ever saw Saul in the Clone Wars, which was his introduction to the world. But yeah, but I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, if she was in a live action, cool. If she's not in a live action, I'm perfectly happy with her staying in the cartoons. And I would honestly rather have new characters anyway. I'm a stickler for new, and not continuously kind of rehashing the old stuff, But thanks, Chris. Justin Woods, I apologize, man. I greatly appreciate that super chat and channel support tonight. I just glanced over, and I must have completely missed the notification. I need to change that notification. I think I've heard it as a Star Wars sound effect, a blaster, so many times that it's just kind of in my brain all the time, and it blends in with everything else in my brain. But Justin, I appreciate the hell out of that support tonight. Not only tonight, but as a member of the fleet as well, man. I greatly appreciate that. Usually I'm in church nights, Wednesday nights. Otherwise, I'd be here. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, maybe I should start doing them on like weekends, weekend nights. What do you think? It might not be a bad idea. Maybe more people would be able to tune in, Justin. Maybe like Friday nights or Sunday nights or something like that. Anyway, interesting. Might have to do that. And Mace Windu, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support. I greatly appreciate that, man. Hello, Mr. Greedo. I wanted to know if you're ever going to make walkthroughs or live streams of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Oh yeah, I'll definitely live stream it, man. Let me look it up. When does it come out? Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga release date. 2020 is all it says. 2020. So it could be January 1st, 2020, or December Christmas. It could be Christmas 2020. Who knows? But yeah, 100% Mace Windu. I will plan on streaming it, no question about it. And I plan on actually sticking with it. I streamed the Lego Force Awakens when it first came out. I got it at like a discounted price, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I streamed it. I couldn't even get past the first stage. This was like when I first started streaming. This was actually around The Force Awakens, I did stream a couple times, and then I didn't stream for a very long time until maybe a few months before The Last Jedi. So it was like some of my earliest streaming experience, and yeah, it's I didn't stick with it, but yes, Mace Windu, when it comes out, I will absolutely live stream Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and trying to think. I've actually been wanting to stream other Lego games. I downloaded Lego Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars, and I need to play it. Might stream that as well. But I appreciate that, Mace. And Zach, once again, and Andres. Did I say that correctly? I'm an idiot. Andreas, right? I think so. I'm going to call you Martinez. How about that? I appreciate that, man. And Zach, thank you so much as well. Zach says, just a little love from a CS. Nice culinary specialist. Thanks for all the wicked awesome content. Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you keeping those guys and gals fed. You got probably one of the most important jobs on the boat for sure. And you guys definitely deserve a lot of love. And one of the things that I missed that I probably shouldn't miss, Zach, is when you pull into port and everybody on the boat lines up, and from dock to freezer, they're just, what are they called? I can't remember what we called that. What is that called? Food line, Navy ship, pier. What is that called? What did we call that? Shit. What would you call that? Lines, supply, Navy ship. Oops, no. Underway replenishment. No, I can't remember what we called it. Anyway, I miss seeing everybody on the boat lined up from truck on the pier, truck on the dock to freezer, just throwing boxes one after the other to the next person. It was such a cool experience. But yeah, Zach, I appreciate that generous super chat tonight, man. And yeah, like I said, you guys definitely deserve a lot of love. I'm trying to think, I ate a lot of rice and chicken on deployment. And I think it's kind of funny, and there's nothing you can do about it, but at the beginning, right after a resupply, there's a lot of different variety and stuff like that. And then as you get closer and closer to another resupply, I was eating a lot of just rice and steamed chicken, and sometimes I would just eat a peanut butter with banana sandwich. But I love it. I miss the boat food, man. I miss breakfast most of all. I love just hash browns and sausage, pancakes, flapjacks just slapped there. Food on the boat wasn't bad. Food on the boat was good. Food on the boat was good. I appreciate that, Zach. And Andreas Martinez, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support as well. Hello, Mr. Greedo. Thoughts on the high ground? Just as a concept, a combat concept? It makes sense. I mean, it's why, for the longest time, for all of human history, since we've been building walls, people would put archers on the walls. The high ground definitely helps. The high ground allows you to see further, see enemies coming at your cities at a further distance. The high ground gives your city on the hill, the city on the mountain protection, because it takes a lot for the enemies to come to it. You can also spot them, like I said. There's a lot of benefits to the high ground, not just as a joke and a meme, but the high ground is certainly. Oh, one sec. Nice. My buddy just texted me, packed theater for a Jaws drinking game for the 4th. Should be a fun way to see it. Oh, that's cool. Huh. That's awesome. So yeah, not just as a meme. The high ground is a tactical advantage for sure. Anakin should have listened to Obi-Wan, huh? But I appreciate that, Martinez. And Justin Woods, I like eating breakfast as a meal, but I'm not a huge fan of breakfast foods. Eggs and bacon are okay, but most breakfast foods just don't keep me full long enough. Breakfast is probably my favorite meal, and it's the meal that I never eat. Breakfast to me is almost like a dessert because I don't ever eat it. I eat it so rarely that when I eat it, I just love it. And my breakfast foods of choice are biscuits and gravy. And I love like a sausage, egg, and cheese croissant or something like that. I'm a big hash brown fan. I love grating my own potatoes, soaking them in water to get some of the starches out, and then throwing them in a pan with hot vegetable oil. Oh, it's so good. I love making some homemade hash browns, dude. It's my favorite meal, just because it's like all carbs. Biscuits and gravy and hash browns, please. But yeah, man, love it. Don't eat it enough, which is probably a good thing. I'd be quite heavy. The next question from Patreon comes from Psychotic. Hello, Greedo and Baby Greedo. Remember that Stormtrooper story you wanted where it was like Band of Brothers thing? Well, I finally decided to write a book about a Stormtrooper squad to match something like Band of Brothers, which now leads up to my question. I need help on deciding what characters' names should be and what planet/location they are from. If I come up with them on my own, the names will be either too easy or too weird. So can I DM you on Twitter so you can name these characters and such? I can make up the story on my own. I just need help with little details here and there. I know you're busy with your daughter, making videos and building a new house, but I would like you involved even in the most littlest way possible, because you help start the idea of me doing this. The good part is I'm not on a time limit, so you can answer my DMs when you can because of your busy schedule. Yeah, hell yeah, man. I would love to help out when I can. Yeah, feel free to shoot me a DM, and we can get the ball rolling on that. I'm not good at coming up with character names either. That's kind of a stumping thing for me as well. I don't even know. Like, would you just name them like TK 4321? You know what I mean? Like, or you know what I mean? Like just designated numbers, or do you want actual nicknames for stormtroopers? I don't know. I like that idea though, man. And yeah, for sure. Feel free to shoot me a DM. We can get the ball rolling. I like the idea of creating your own planets and locations, you know, out of thin air, and making your own kind of fan fiction like that. Because I'm sure most fan fiction is probably set on Tatooine. Most Star Wars fan films are set on Endor or Tatooine because everybody's got like a forest or maybe some sand dunes or a beach. No, I'm just fucking around. But yeah, man, feel free to shoot me a DM, and whenever I get a chance, I'll reply. And if you want to spin some characters my way and let me read a little bit about them, maybe I can come up with some nicknames and stuff like that. But I appreciate that question, man, and good luck on it. So it sounds like a fun project. A little bit of fan fiction. And the Muddler, thank you for the super chat and channel support tonight, man. Are there any videos you regret making? Ooh, no. There's things that I cringe at. There's videos that I cringe at. There's lines of dialogue that I wrote and spoke in some of my earlier videos that I cringe at. A lot of stuff, you know, where, I mean, I guess, Muddler, a good analogy is this. This is how I think of it in my head. Do you ever have like Time Hop or anything like that pop up on Facebook and show you stuff you posted 10, 15 years ago on Facebook? It's the same kind of like, ugh, I was an idiot. You know what I mean? Like you cringe at the old way that you used to be. That's kind of how some of my older videos make me feel a little bit when I listen to myself and hear myself talk. And I'm sure right now, in 2029, if I come back and listen to this supporter Q&A, I'm going to cringe at myself then. I think you always cringe at yourself 10 years in the past when you think about it. No? Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. But no, I'm not going to say there's any videos I regret making because, I recognize that this channel over its 8 years existence is kind of an evolution. As we're all evolving as people, and our mentalities are shifting, and we have a different way of looking at things every year, you know what I mean? We're learning. And I think this channel is a good kind of look. It's kind of almost like a time capsule for the evolution of me, and I don't regret making them, but I find them fascinating, and I do cringe at them quite a bit. The early stuff, when I was just kind of like playing it up, hamming it up, and then sometimes like, I make fun of like the quote unquote YouTube film analyst, and I totally was trying to be Mr. Smarty Pants, as I see a lot of people on the internet being. So maybe they'll grow out of it too. I'm an idiot. You got to keep saying. You got to keep yourself grounded. self. Shit. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyway, Muddler, I appreciate that. And I hope you're having a good one, man. And the next question comes from Paul Robinson. Mr. Paul, been around here since the beginning. It's that time again already, and half the year gone. Can you slow down time, not speed up the harvest? Wait, no, that's tattooing. Tatooine? Oh, I see your other post right below it, Paul. Oh shit, I need to scroll up, don't I? My bad, guys. I have the questions up on my other monitor. I didn't even realize that you guys couldn't see it. Do. Not that anybody's actually looking at the screen. If you're hearing my voice right now, chances are you're probably just hearing my voice. Paul Robinson, once again, man, thank you so much. No, that's Tatooine. As you know, I come to Florida every 2 years and do the usual Orlando shit. So tell me, what one non-tourist thing should I definitely not miss out on for October 2020? As always, loving the channel, fella. Keep it coming. My love to the fam, Paul. Well, thank you so much, Paul. It's always good to hear from you. Yeah, me and Paul I remember sitting at work on like the Hello Greedo Facebook page, which I rarely go on anymore. I just post, the videos and stuff like that. But I used to chit chat with Paul all the time in the DMs when I had, Paul's been around for a long time, so I appreciate that support, man, and I hope you're doing well. So the non-touristy shit, golly, see, I don't really, when it comes to Orlando, if you're just sticking to Orlando, I'm not too sure. I went to college for a year in Orlando, but, I didn't really explore much. I just kind of hung out at some of the bars with my friends that were 21 and could sneak me in. That's really all I did, but if you're going anywhere else in Florida, man, I'm a North Florida guy. If you look at a map, I'm from Jacksonville, as you know. It's North Florida. It's about 2 hours away from Orlando, and there's nothing that's touristy here. It's all local fun shit, breweries. The most touristy thing that we have is the beach, and it's beautiful. We have multiple beaches, obviously, because it's one big ass coast, and you can just keep walking it. But I would recommend going to the beach. That's what I would recommend. I don't know what the closest beach to Orlando is, but I would recommend doing that. And if you do want to do a really cool touristy thing, Cape Canaveral, Kennedy Space Center, is only about an hour away from Orlando. Last time I remember. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, it's an hour and 2 minutes. An hour and 2 minutes, and you can go to the Kennedy Space Center. And shit, man, maybe you might be able to time it with a launch. That would be the ultimate Florida trip. Time it with a launch of maybe a Falcon Heavy that's coming out in when'd you say you were going? October 2020. Yeah, Yeah, you can. I don't know. It might not be a bad idea. Water there is cleaner. Yeah, the Gulf Coast really not. A lot of people prefer the Gulf, Justin. It's definitely a lot calmer too. It's definitely a lot calmer. But yeah, Paul, I wish I knew a little bit more about the non-touristy stuff in Orlando. You know, it's a city that's built on tourism. And I'm sure there's a lot of local bars and stuff like that that you could check out. But I'm really not too familiar with that area, to tell you the truth. But if you have any questions, plan on going to Jacksonville, if you plan on going to Kennedy Space Center, let me know. I'd love to maybe give some suggestions. And Kennedy's fun, man, if you want a little bit of a fun educational trip. Let me text my wife back. Last night, my daughter it took 2 hours for her to go down, fall asleep. Normally she's, you know, you rock her for 20 minutes or so, you read her a couple books and she's asleep and you put her in the crib. She's out. Last night, for whatever reason, man, my wife would lay her down and she would just scream. She would pick her up and rock her again. She tried 3 times before she finally went down. So my wife just said, she's down. Didn't rock her for that long. She's only been rocking her for like 30 minutes. Nice. The next question comes from... Let me scroll up real quick here. Oh, I messed that up. Did I mess that up? There we go. One sec. All right, there we go. These streams are very professional. So, I'll be visiting both Disney and Kennedy in October. So hyped. Nice, man. Yeah, that'll be a fun trip. That'll be a really fun trip. Yeah, launch schedules are kind of a lot more wishy-washy and not set in stone as they used to be in the shuttle era. So it's very hard to predict when things are going to be launching. You might get lucky. You know, there might be something launching while you're there, or you can plan it around them, you know. The next question comes from Sofa Sith Lord. Piggybacking off my question from the stream on Tuesday, what features of the Cyberpunk game are you most looking forward to? I purchased the CE for PC. CE. Oh, is that... Collector's Edition. Okay, for PC and can't wait until April 16th. Keep up the great work, man. Well, I appreciate that. Let me take a quick sip. What features am I most looking forward to? No real feature in particular. It's what I'm looking forward to the most is the RPG elements of the game set in this weird ass Blade Runner slash I don't even know, Blade Runner slash Empire Records future, where everybody's just like punked out and have cybernetic enhancements and stuff like that. I think that's one of the coolest things that I'll be looking forward to, is kind of how you can enhance your character and maybe customize all the body modifications and whatnot. But I think more than anything, Sofa Sith, it's not necessarily the particular features, it's more of the vibe that I get from watching the gameplay and the trailers and stuff like that. It's just an awesome... It looks like such a fun world to explore. It looks like such... It kind of reminds me of... Well, it almost seems like it's going to be... You know, Red Dead Redemption is just so in-depth and stuff like that, but Cyberpunk... And maybe it's an illusion, but it just seems bigger. And I don't know if that's me hoping it's bigger, because we really haven't seen that much, you know? But it really almost seems... I don't know, more involved and I don't know. Maybe I'm just hoping that it's gonna be a much bigger game. But Yeah, April 16th will be here before. I know it feels like a very long time from now. April 16th is almost a year away, right? But it'll be here before we know it. That's what I keep thinking to myself. Like, it's July. It's already July. It's almost August. Oh, it's almost September. Oh, it's almost time for The Rise of Skywalker. April 16th will be here soon, man. But yeah, I haven't been this excited for a game in a very long time, Sofa. I was excited for Red Dead, but it took me a long time to get it. My wife got it for me for Christmas, and it had already been out. It had already been out for some time. I'm excited for Jedi Fallen Order. Obviously, it's just like a no-brainer that I'm excited for that. It's just kind of default. But in terms of like new story, new franchise, I haven't been this excited for something new in a very, very long time. So, I don't know if I'll get it on the PC or the Xbox. What am I talking about? I'm going to get it on the PC. I might stream it. What am I talking about? I might get it on the Xbox. That might be a fun game to just kind of veg out and play and not have to stream, you know? Like, it's kind of like RPG. I never like to stream RPGs because RPGs are the types of games that I just like to sit down and escape into a world, right? Cyberpunk, I might end up getting it on the Xbox, but we'll see. We'll see. But Sofa, I appreciate that, man, and yeah, keep an eye on the launch schedule dates for October. I'm gonna look it up actually. Let's see. Oh, launch schedule August and December. Is that really it? Upcoming? July 17th is a Atlas 5. July 21st is Falcon. I thought there was another Falcon Heavy launching in July with a crewed mission. Crewed. Oh, it's to be determined. Must have got... Okay. July 17th, Atlas. July 21st, Falcon 9. Okay. I really want to see the Falcon Heavy. That they don't have really, and then there's a Boeing orbital flight test uncrewed. Oh, interesting. On an Atlas 5. Huh. So yeah, unless something pops up, it doesn't look like there's anything in October. There's only 2 in July, and then 1 to be determined, and then 1 in August. Man, we need to kick this shit into gear. But yeah. Anyway. The next question comes from 6 Foot Piss Radius. Let me scroll up here so we can see it. There we go. 6 Foot says, hey Greedo, hope you and the family are doing well. I'm stealing this question from the Nerf Herder Council, by the way. They'd love to have you back on as a guest. Nice, at some point. Yeah, 100%. I had fun with those guys. Do you think Rise of Skywalker will be able to pull off what Avengers Endgame pulled off with bringing the franchise as we know it to a satisfying conclusion? In my opinion, I don't think Rise of Skywalker can pull it off because people are still salty bastards about the sequel trilogy, as well as the older fans in the mindset that the prequels suck. Meanwhile, Marvel has, for the most part, had consistent success with each movie. With more movies dedicated to fleshing out character arcs. Anyway, what do you think? Interesting. Also, truly thank you for being awesome and so chill. If you inject Pepsi into your nuts and you blow a load, will the Pepsi come back out? I don't think. Probably not. Probably not. I don't know. Google it. Tell me what you come up with. But I'm guessing no. I'm guessing that's not how it works. So yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna. I think one of the main reasons why I haven't seen Endgame. I'm so far behind. You know this. I'm so far behind in the Marvel movies. But I think one of the reasons that the Marvel movies have been pretty overall loved, I guess, and people seem to really like Endgame as a satisfying conclusion. It wasn't 4 decades of different tones, different types of movies, different stories. It wasn't 4 decades of generations growing up with their own version of Marvel, right? It's been one consistent Marvel. For when did the first Iron Man come out? Has it been a little over 10 years? Iron Man movie. Oh, my back. And my internet. Did my internet just go out? No. It actually came out in 2008, so 11 years ago. They've just been pumping them out for 11 years. And they've all been pretty consistent tonally, and they've just found their groove, and they're not very experimental. You have Deadpool, sure, but for the most part, they're pretty similar. But with Star Wars, you got the original trilogy, you got the prequel trilogy, and for the most part, in their day, in the prequels' days, they were not well liked. And every generation seems to have a different Star Wars. Every generation seems to think, what Star Wars. So, I don't know. Does that make sense? In my brain, it makes sense, but I don't know what a satisfying conclusion means when you have 3 generations of fans, all with their own version of Star Wars in their brain and what Star Wars means to them. Is it even possible to bring about a satisfying conclusion? I mean, all the things that I hear people bitching and moan about today, about the sequel trilogy, is the same exact shit that I heard back in the day with the prequel trilogy. It's nothing new. Sure, I mean, people dislike it. Cool, people fucking hated the prequels too. People fucking hated Return of the Jedi. I don't know. I'm not worried about that, though, I'm not worried about what other people think, if it will be known widely as a satisfying conclusion. I could give 2 shits. I just hope I really enjoy it, and it gives me peace of mind, and I like it. I hope it's satisfying for me personally, and I hope it's satisfying for those who make it, because I want that creative freedom, But long story short, no, I don't think if you inject Pepsi in your nuts, that'll happen. But I appreciate that 6 foot, and I hope I answered your question. That's not a bad idea for a topic of discussion for a video. Let me make a quick folder here to remember that. How should I label the folder so I don't forget that? Oh shit, wrong button. Let's see. 763. Alright, cool. There we go. It's not a bad idea for a little morning coffee short discussion video. Last I heard, the Falcon Heavy crew module went fucky, delaying a crewed mission. I hadn't heard that. That's a bummer. I was actually, Andy, me and my dad had been looking forward to, because it said July to be determined, date, for a long time, and I just now looked at it for the first time in maybe 2 months or so. And I think me and my dad were planning on going down whenever it was, because I think they did select the date, and it was going to be on a Saturday. I can't remember, but that's a bummer. Better safe than sorry, right? Better safe than sorry. Not to mention that Star Wars has a way more rabid fan base, in my opinion. It's something more than just some movie. It's something more than just some movie. Marvel means a lot to a lot of people, but there's something less sacred about them. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, to me, they just seem like fun romps. Star Wars is, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why it's definitely different for me. I was never really, I was into Superman. That was really my only superhero growing up that I really gave a shit about. But so it's not something that I really grew up with, So maybe if it was, it would have that kind of sacred feeling to me. But yeah, I don't know if it's because it is such a long and decade wide and generation wide franchise that has just spanned so much time, that it does feel sacred to so many people, I don't know. The next question from Patreon comes from Christopher. Let me take a quick sip. Hey, Greedo. Oh, let me scroll up so we can see it. Hey Gritto, hope you and yours are well. Just finished up Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice. It's very good. Miss Gray gets Star Wars, and her novels in the saga are some of the best. Her portrayal of Qui-Gon really rounds out his character, especially with some of the things he does and says in The Phantom Menace. Without spoiling anything, in M&A, he's very intrigued with the prophecies of long ago. Makes even more sense with what he does in The Phantom Menace. Ooh, interesting. Kind of a true believer. Interesting. For me, the movies are always the end all be all, and I would have loved to have seen this idea worked into the character in The Phantom Menace. I'm with you in the end all be all department. Movies trump everything. I don't think I will ever like a Star Wars story more than a movie. Star Wars to me belongs in a big ass screen, big bowl of buttery popcorn, big stupid diabetes inducing soda, and a loud ass speaker system. And just staring up at the sky, watching some Star Wars. But is there anything character-based, plot-based, story-based, etc. that you wish had a little more presence in the movies? Ooh, interesting. I, for one, would love more Leia's decision to start the Resistance. Thanks, man. P.S. Shameless plug time. Looking to grow a small little podcast I've been doing with my friends for the last few years. It's called The Pilots Podcast. The podcast where we watch a TV show pilot and ultimately, that's a really cool idea, and ultimately decide if we want to continue watching it or not. Find us on, you can't see it on the screen, let me scroll up. There we go. Find us on soundcloud.com. I'm gonna type it up in soundcloud.com/pilots podcast. Nice. Why didn't the link work? Why isn't it a link? Weird. I love that idea for a podcast. That's a really cool idea for a podcast. I like that. I'm definitely going to check it out. Are you guys on wherever podcasts are listened to? Let's see. Pilots podcast. Nope. Is it Pilot Podcast or Pilots? Okay. Nope. That's a really cool idea, man. I'm going to have to check that out. Pilot's Journey, Dead Pilot Society. That's a really cool idea, though. Is there anything character-based, plot-based, story-based, etc. you wish had a little more presence in the movies? I, for one, would have loved more about Leia's decision to start the Resistance. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading about that in Bloodline. In the book Bloodline, you kind of see the spark that starts it and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think. Internally in the movies, I think you probably know this. The first thing that comes to mind is I wish Maul was in the movie more in The Phantom Menace. I wish he was present in the entire trilogy. I think I don't know. I think I would have liked him as a main adversary, a main villain, but I don't know. Other than that, man, like, I wish the prequels were a little more. I feel, even watching them as an adult, I don't feel like they do a good job kind of explaining the galactic situation, the factions. I don't feel like they do a good job at explaining the kind of tug of power. The Clone Wars animated show by far does a better job at explaining the Confederacy and just kind of the factional split up and the spreading of the war and the proxy wars, and it does such a better job of showing kind of this tug of power and the politics involved in it. And obviously the show has a lot of seasons and more time to do so, but I wish the prequels maybe found a better way to kind of emphasize that. Kind of like the Clone Wars did, you know. I guess that's the first thing that comes to mind. I would also like to maybe know a little bit more about the in-between between episodes 6 and 7. And is that a place? Is that really necessary for this sequel trilogy? Not necessarily, in my opinion. You know, we're seeing everything through Rey's eyes, basically. What do you want to have a scene with just shitload of expository dialogue, kind of like the end of Matrix Revolutions, where there's just a dude telling you exactly what's happening? I mean, it's a cool scene, but I don't know. I think that would feel a little wonky. So yeah, probably more than anything, it would be like the politics and the kind of better fleshing out the ideas and the politics and the divisions that were actually happening during the Clone Wars, but in the prequels, you know, that's probably what it would be. I think if those movies did that, were a little more concise and to the point and better digestible and understood, I think people would have liked them a lot more. Could be wrong, but I don't know. Oh, cool, 6 foot. I appreciate that, man. And the next question from Patreon comes from John Helder. Hey, HG, I've recently discovered the joys of audiobooks, especially Star Wars ones with all the cool sounds and effects. Also, I have found that because I listen to them while doing other things, cooking, gardening, even showering, I'm getting through books way faster than if I were to read them. On the other hand, focusing on reading a book is probably more relaxing and restful for the mind. So I still go to my Kindle, especially before sleep. Do you prefer reading books or listening to audiobooks? It's kind of exactly as you described it there, John. It's been a long time since I've actually listened to an audiobook. I used to have a desk job. I did some graphic design for a company, and I used to listen to audiobooks all the time. But since then, it's been 5 years since I worked there. Since then, I haven't listened to an audiobook, I don't think. I listen to a shitload of podcasts, though. A shitload of podcasts. And usually it's when I'm, you know, like you said, like you're showering, you're mowing the lawn, you're doing the laundry, you're doing the dishes. I usually only listen to them either when I'm driving now or when my daughter's asleep and I'm doing stuff around the house, you know. But when it comes to either reading or listening to a book, it's almost identical to what you're saying there. You know, if I have stuff to do, I'll listen to a podcast or maybe sections of audiobooks. I really like listening to sections of like Carl Sagan books that I really enjoy, Richard Dawkins books, even Christopher Hitchens books. I've always kind of enjoyed. There's certain chapters that sometimes I just get a need to listen to, you know, and for the most part they're read in by the author's voice, which I always prefer. But shit, what was I saying? But I think for the most part, when it comes to books, I prefer reading them. I like just kind of the imagination of it, and reading it in your own head, your own voice, and in your head, and I don't know. It's a little bit of an escapism. When I flew to LA about a month ago, I would put on some kind of space music like you're listening to right now a little bit, maybe a little more calm ambient music than this, but and I would read Ahsoka. I finished Bloodline on the plane, and I read half of Ahsoka on the plane, So I like having like ambient music on while I'm reading, you know. But anyway, John, if you're in the mood for an audiobook, I've actually never listened to a Star Wars audiobook. People always talk about how awesome the sound effects are and the voices and all that kind of stuff. I don't even think I've ever heard a sample of one. So, I need to do that for sure. But yeah, I appreciate that, John. And Justin Woods, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support once again, man. I greatly appreciate that. As my throat is on fire, I should have brought some water. I've been saving this last little tiny sip of beer for the last question. Because my throat is burning. And now I am out of beer. And it is time for me to read the final Patreon question of the evening. And it comes from Admiral Crust. Hi Greedo, hope everyone is doing great. I remember that you have recently been interested in getting into voiceover work. What kind of voiceover stuff would you like to do most, and what would you ask for in return? Don't know if you remember that much about my project, but if you're interested, I could offer you a character that could use a sweet, buttery voice. Wish you the best and keep the chill flowing. Yeah, I'd be up for it. I don't even know what it was. Just a thought, Admiral. You know, it was like I don't know, but yeah, game would be cool for sure. I don't even know. I thought about like maybe just doing reels of. I really don't even know, to tell you the truth. Characters, anything. Honestly, anything. I think it would be a fun. I would love to do characters because you can kind of get into it, you know. You kind of animate yourself in front of the mic. Other than that, I think audiobooks would be fun, but I don't know how good it would be reading something that someone else wrote and trying to read it. I would feel like I would fail the author because I'm sure the author wanted some inflection here or something said a little different there. Or, you know, or I could always be like, thank you for calling T-Mobile. I could do that. I would do that as well. But yeah, I'd be up for it. Yeah, shoot me an email. And if you need any lines of dialogue read, send them over and maybe I can throw together a quick audio file for you when I get some time. But I appreciate that, Admiral. And I hope everything's going well for you. What's up, Will? Good to see you, man. I recommend Thrawn Alliance's audiobook. Okay, I read Thrawn, so maybe I'll listen to the next one on audiobook. But all right, guys. It is time for me to hop off, watch a movie tonight. I went through my parents' garage looking for my Jaws Blu-ray, and I think my box of Blu-rays is at the bottom of the garage, in the middle of the garage, and their entire garage is just filled with me and my wife's shit from our old house. So, yeah. So I don't know if we'll be able to watch Jaws tonight unless it's online, but. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna hop off. It's been fun like always. These supporter Q&As are always really laid back and quite enjoyable. And I always enjoy the random questions I get and the silly shit that I hear from 6 Foot and all that kind of stuff. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. And that audiobook, guys, I just need to record some chapters. Maybe I'll prioritize it next week. Instead of doing daytime streams, maybe I'll prioritize getting that audiobook done and try to knock it out. Because it would probably take me 6 hours worth of work to record the rest and edit the rest that I need to do. So I think I'll be able to maybe knock that out next week. We shall see. But yeah. All right, guys. Justin Woods, The Muddler, Andreas Martinez, Zach, Mace Windu, Manikoff, Darth Sean. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, super chats tonight, and everybody in the chat right now. I appreciate you guys being members of the fleet. I I'm not exaggerating when I say that the channel survives because of your support, and I greatly appreciate it. Tomorrow I have a video coming out just called The Map I Want. It's a Battlefront 2 themed video where I literally just talk about the map that I want in the game. I have a video that's almost done, just kind of talking about the Emperor and how I think he'll be in the movie and predictions, I guess. And then I have a bunch of other videos in the works that I started writing, and they are kind of in the process of being finalized. And it's funny because like I'll start writing a video, and then I'll get another idea for another video, and I'll start writing that one, and I'll forget about the one that I was writing previously. But yeah, guys, I appreciate the support. It's the reason the channel exists in the form that it does, and it's the reason that I'm able to, legitimately the reason I'm able to be a kind of a work-at-home dad. So I appreciate the ever-living fuck out of you guys, and I will keep the fun stuff flowing. If you guys will keep watching, I'll keep the fun stuff flowing. That goes with all you non-fleet members out there. Greatly appreciate it that are watching right now. Sofa Sith Lord, thank you so much for the super chat channel support, man. Extremely generous tonight. Thank you so much. Happy 4th, everyone. Right back at you. I hope everyone has a really fun Independence Day. Be safe out there. Don't blow your goddamn hand off with a firecracker. Have fun. I always enjoy reading quotes and little blurbs of history on the 4th. It's a very patriotic and day of remembrance for me as well, and just kind of, you know, I kind of like to think about I don't know, the history of it all, how this great American experiment was born, and it's always a fascinating thing to think about, you know. But Sofa Sith Lord, thank you so much, man, and happy 4th right back to you. And Zach, anchors overboard. If you ask me to say my general orders, I mean, shit, nobody knows their general orders, right? Unless you're in boot camp, nobody knows them. Anchors away, right back at you. How about that? Fair winds and following seas. But Zach, thank you so much for the support tonight, man. Greatly appreciate that. Keep feeding our guys and gals in the boat. As I said earlier, you got a hell of an important job, and maybe you don't recognize it as that. And maybe it's monotonous as hell sometimes, but keep doing what you're doing, man. Thanks for what you do. All right, guys, time for me to hop off. It's been fun as always, and I will see you guys on Friday. I'll do a stream on Friday. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. Friday, my wife is taking my daughter around the town, and I'm working on stuff. It's a day to work on stuff, but all right, guys. Happy 4th, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. See ya.